What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Revere End YouTube channel. My name is Billy Dunthorne and I am here for a match review of City's 3-1 win at Ashton Gate against Bristol City. Now, if you are new around here, we would really appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We release weekly sort of podcasts where we go into far more detail about Norwich City than there will be in this video. This is just a nice, immediate reaction to our game at Bristol City today, where, of course, like I said, 3-1, PUKKI brace, Emmy on the score sheet. What more could you want? So starting with the lineup, there was two changes actually to the lineup on Tuesday against Brentford. Sorensen retained his place at left back, which maybe was a little bit controversial, but I thought he played really well. I think it's called the Brentford Community Stadium or something bizarre like that. Steeperman replaced Vrancic in the 10. We didn't actually see Vrancic come on because we didn't need him. We didn't need our super sub today. And Todd made way for PUKKI out wide, which again I think was the right decision. I've sort of said before that I think if you're going to play Todd, you need a natural left footer on that left-hand side over at wing-back or further forward, and PUKKI provides us that width. There was a few times actually during the game where he got a little bit caught out, sort of playing a little bit more narrowly, and we know that he's far more competent when he does stretch the play. And there was some suggestion that maybe Bali Mumba might come in at a wing-back, but he did get on the bench, and he did get on, which we'll get on to in a moment. Bristol went for their custom three at the back system. They've pretty much stuck with that all this season, I think. And a few veterans in the side as well. Chris Brunn, the ex-West Brom player, starting in the middle of the park. And, of course, the infamous Chrissy Martin playing sort of a little bit of a withdrawn role from Nahki Wells. But, yeah, all in all, I think in terms of Norwich City's lineup, I was fairly pleased at whether the Steeperman decision or inclusion really was about fitness and rotation more than anything. I'm not sure. Like I say, I think Vrancic is just so much better coming off the bench and impacting games. In terms of the match events, well, 6 minutes in, Team PUKKI goal. Lovely stuff. You love to see it, don't you? I was just actually starting to think when that goal went in that the Norwich were just finding their shape a little bit. We know that Norwich's sort of 4-2-3-1 base formation is far different to actually the way that they attack. The wing-backs get forward, the midfield are trying to find that space where they can. And once they'd done that, I was literally just thinking that. And then, of course, it allowed Steeperman to just thread PUKKI through. And it was very reminiscent of the title-winning campaign of 18-19. I can't be the only one that sort of hesitated my celebration because PUKKI was just on the line, wasn't he? Just playing off the defender. And obviously the scars of VAR from the Premier League are still there and still made me a little bit anxious about celebrating goals like that because you just think that there's just going to be an offside call or something. But the goal did stand. And Norwich got off to a really bright start. And it gets even better, doesn't it? On the 13th minute, at this time, I think it was Sorensen. He cuts in from the left back. And there's a lot of discussion whether Sorensen was the right option. Look, there's certainly a lot of aspects where Sorensen gets caught out. And we'll get onto that in a moment. But for me, this is the benefit of playing sort of an inverted wing back on the left, is they can cut inside and they can come into the play. That's only beneficial if you've got somebody out on the left who is naturally left-footed and providing that width. We had that in PUKKI, and it allows Sorensen to sort of roam into the middle of the park, maybe into his more sort of habitual midfield role, I suppose. And he threads PUKKI through, and again we get him behind. The Dane, like I said, he's quite deep, but PUKKI pulls him out wide, and it allows PUKKI to just run through really and get City's second of the game, Norwich City that is. And this was actually quite interesting because before the game, I was sort of getting my prep done and I made almost like a concept thumbnail. And the title was PUKKI is back, and I put Norwich City 2-0 against Bristol City. And I was thinking, brilliant, I haven't got to change it. But 2 minutes later, Jack Hunt gets in. Bristol City, like we said, played with those wing-backs at the three at the back, and they were a fair threat. And in the 15th minute, I think Norwich, maybe just a bit of lackadaisical defending, we sort of just switch off a little bit. And as Callum Adalde played a massive part in the goal, down that left-hand side. Tim Krul makes a save, which some suggestion in the commentary that he should have done better, but I'm not going to start sort of criticising Tim Krul for decisions like that. I thought it was a good save. You just want to maybe just push out a little bit wider, but you know, it's sort of quite harsh criticism, and Hunt eventually puts it in, and it reminded me a little bit of almost Daniel Fisher's goal against Preston, the way that wing back, the right side of wing back just comes through and almost plays into an open net, but you've got to try and curve it around the City defender. I think it was Hanley who tried to block it and couldn't quite manage to do so. Again in the 20th minute though, Steepen and Pukki combine to carve open Bristol City's back three. I'm going to resist the temptation to do any sort of Halloween pumpkin puns because Alfie will kill me. And Bristol were really struggling to deal with our pace and behind. And I think this is the thing that probably pleased me most about this Norwich City performance. I didn't realise we had this ability to counter like we did, and the fact that we've done that with such ease, whether that was almost like a reactive move to Bristol City, I'm not too sure, but I thought it was really pleasing how we were just constantly getting behind, and we have that sort of technical ability in the middle of the park to find the pass, but it's always just a question of whether we have the pace in behind, and with Pukki and with PUKKI, and Buendia is no slouch either, but he is a little bit more of a withdrawn player. Norwich just found that opportunity was sort of rising time and time again, and I think Pukki just hesitates slightly, doesn't he? And the chance goes, and you know he could have quite easily had a hat trick. Let's put it that way. This is then a big moment in the game because, like we say, Bristol are now back in it, and Norwich have just missed the chance. And you're thinking this is a really crucial part of the game. And there's two Nahki Wells chances in the 23rd and the 26th minute, which he doesn't take. And this is the point where you're really wanting City to be more composed. Earlier on in the game, whether they fell asleep or not, I'm not too sure, but it may be a little bit naive for Norwich to push their wing backs so high when you are 2-0 up. And this is the point in the game where you want Norwich to see it out, and they managed to do that. Nahki Wells misses a couple of chances, and Norwich has still got their lead. And there's then a little bit of the game. Finally settles a little bit after what a hectic sort of 20-25 minutes. And then Tim Krul makes a wonderful save, aerobatically sort of leaping. I think it was a Zach Viner or Viner effort. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he keeps it out, and Wells is on the follow-up, but the offside flag eventually comes, meaning that that was meaningless really, but it was proved yet again just how crucial Tim Krul is, and he keeps us in those games at those vital moments, and we'll sort of get onto that later as well. There's then a Buendia chance in the 40th minute. PUKKI this time finding Buendia. Interesting, like I said, I felt like PUKKI was struggling when he was coming more centrally, playing more akin to how our natural wide players in those areas usually play. And he struggled in the middle of the park. But this time, he actually plays Buendia through with a lovely ball. Second time in 2 games that Buendia gets in behind the defence. And he doesn't take the chance yet again. And I wrote in my notes here, surely it's a matter of time before he opens his account this season. Well, 6 minutes later, 6 or 7 minutes later, he does do that just before the half-time whistle. He's in sort of extra time, I suppose, stoppage time in the first half, and it's a delightful ball from Ben Gibson, somebody that I have waxed lyrical about since his arrival from Norwich City. I said he was going to be a crucial player to us. That left foot of his, he just caresses the ball through to Buendia. And it was almost like a cardboard copy of his goal against Bentley when Bentley actually played for Brentford a year or two back. And I think it was Dan Emery who reminded me of that actually on Twitter. And, like we said, there's always that question mark about Buendia and his goal return. We always know he's going to create chances. He's going to get assists. But how potent is he in front of goal? And like I say, in the 40th minute, you're thinking that it's going to be another game where Buendia fails to sort of find the net. But what a finish it was. And Norwich then go into the half-time break 3-1 up, which is massive. When you're 2-1 up going into the half-time break, you just want to go in 2-1. But if you can get that third goal, it doesn't kill the game off, but it just puts you in such a strong position. And like I say, going into the break, I was massively pleased with how we played. Bristol are a threat. They press quite heavily, and they play a really interesting sort of 3-5-2 system, if you like, with the wing-backs really forward and some interesting movement from their centre-forwards. And I thought we just dealt with it perfectly. There was times when we maybe rode our luck and we had to just ride the wave, but we kept in the game and we had that threat in behind, which you need in this league, because sometimes the centre-backs aren't the quickest. Sometimes defensive lines are quite high. If you're going to press us, you're going to leave space in behind, because you can't do both. You can't sort of sit deep and press from the front. And if you've got that pace, if it's Pukki, if it's Eder, if it's PUKKI, Onel's obviously out, but when he comes back, then the Norwich can add that sort of to their game and be a little bit more dangerous, and they don't have to, just do that way. They can keep the ball, and they've done that. And like I said, we went into the half-time break in control, and then it's that 15 minutes after the start of the second half, isn't it? And it's just like, okay, what's going to go on here? Because if Bristol get an early goal back, then all of a sudden it's 3-2 and it's game on. But like I said, I thought we just kept the ball so well. I thought we managed the game brilliantly. And there wasn't really much to talk about until the 59th minute when Chris Martin just peels off on the left-hand side, cuts in onto his right foot. It's an audacious effort from about 25, 30 yards out. And I think Tim Krul just gets a little nick on it. Whether that affected it, I don't know, but it smashes the post. And Norwich are still 3-1 up. And it's those moments, isn't it? Like I say, Norwich sort of kept in to the 60th minute mark. They were still in the game. They're still ahead 3-1. But if that goal goes in, then who knows? But to be honest, the XG on that probably was minimal because it was an audacious effort from like 30 yards out. And there's actually another sort of 15-minute spell where not really much happens, to be honest. A few little chances, but nothing really to talk about. And then, of course, there is the Bristol City penalty, which I've talked a lot about sort of big moments in the game and it already so far and how football can just change. And again, this just felt like a massive moment, doesn't it? Sorensen gets caught out. I think it was from a corner or sort of second phase of a corner. And it's quite a bizarre decision to bring down Callis. I think we know Sorensen obviously hasn't played the most amount of football in recent months, really. And sometimes his fitness later on in games, you can just see sort of his decision-making falter slightly. We saw that against Brentford, and I think we saw it slightly today as well. And he goes down to try and obviously block the ball with his body. Callis falls to the floor. Whether that he actually sort of fouled Callis, I don't know. But you can't go down like that. And he leans him almost with his elbow. And it was a bizarre decision, and Bristol City, sort of rightfully so, get the penalty. And then I didn't actually see this bit because my stream was playing up, obviously. But we know sort of what Tim Krul's like, don't we? Those sort of heroics, the mind games. And Nahki Wells already missed a few chances. Then tries to Panenka Tim Krul. What's he thinking, honestly? And I don't know if that's Tim Krul's mind games or if it's just an arrogance from Nahki Wells, but when I think about Tim Krul and his ability to save penalties, it's something that's talked about a lot, and I don't think it's necessarily like a technical thing that Tim Krul has. I think he's just so good at sort of getting into the mind of the opposition, and he just knows how to aggravate the attacker. And if it means getting a yellow card, so be it. It's such a crucial moment in games when a side is losing or a side's winning, they get a penalty. And I think what's like the second time Tim Krul not managed to keep it out, but the opposition has missed, and Tim Krul maybe won't get the credit because he didn't actively impact that decision, but I think he might have just maybe, just get into Wales's head, and he came off the better player, and it was the right decision. And like I say, Norwich then sort of ride the game out. Not too much going on to know, and the more the game that goes on, Norwich I think brought on Kenny McLean to sort of tighten it up. Hugo gets a little run out. And then Barley Mumba makes his Norwich City league debut, I suppose. Obviously made a start in the Carabao Cup, and like I said, there's a lot of discourse around maybe Mumba might start. I think we know how Farke works with these young players, and there's one thing he's good at, Farke. It is developing and knowing how to manage young players' sort of game time, and it's the perfect moment, isn't it, to bring in somebody like Barley Mumba, get him 5 minutes on the pitch, get him his debut out of the way, and then in a few weeks, if Aaron's gets a knock or suspended or whatnot, or just needs to rest, then you're just building Barley Mumba up nicely, and he can eventually be somebody who might maybe be considered sort of a first team option. But Norwich have that luxury now. We're in the Championship. It's a lot harder to develop players when you're in the Premier League, and I think maybe this is a point that we'll talk a bit more on the podcast on Monday. But I like the fact that you're 3-1 up, 5 minutes left. You just bring on Barley Mumba, and it just gets that not duck of his back, but then all of a sudden you're just easing him into it. And we saw sort of similar aspects of that from Josh Martin last year. So hopefully, sort of we see a little bit more of Barley Mumba. But ultimately, like I say, 3-1 win for Norwich, and I think it's probably fair to say that was our best performance of the season. There's obviously areas we can still improve. Still feel like there's question marks maybe defensively, but that maybe that's a little bit sort of natural with the lack of game time that Gibson and Hanley have had, and obviously not having Quintia there. But I think we've spoken a lot about maybe in recent weeks about how Norwich lack that potency in front of goal. I think we were sort of 20th for sort of shot conversion, but we were like second for XG, and we just have to start taking our chances. We've done that today. 3-1 win at Ashton Gate. We're a side of Bristol City who are always there or thereabouts. I'm never really convinced they're a genuine sort of title or promotion contender in this league. They always seem to just be one or two places off the mark, and I think probably today sort of shows why, to be honest. But I mean, you have to be pleased, don't you, with Norwich City's recent results. I think that week where we had Rotherham, Birmingham, and Wickham, we got the 9 points, but there was a question mark over the performances. Tuesday away at Brentford wasn't great, but we still got the point. I think today was a really good performance, and it's, like I say, for me, it's the best performance Norwich have put out this season. A real emphatic win for Norwich, and really sets the tone. I think we've got Millwall on Tuesday and then Swansea on Saturday, so some more tough games coming up, but you know how this league is. There's not an easy game in this league, but Norwich should take a lot of confidence from today. Like I say, if we can just tidy up a little bit at the back and maybe at times not push our wing back so high and stuff like that, then I think Norwich can have an easier sort of control games better, and it can be maybe a little bit more, imposing, on games. But really pleased with the performance from Norwich today, and hopefully we can sort of back that up with another 3 points at Millwall. So that was my match review of City's 3-1 win against Bristol City. Please make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like I said, if you are new around here, we release a weekly Norwich City podcast on the YouTube channel, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if that's sort of something that you might be interested in, please make sure you go check that out. And you can also follow us on social media using the handle @TheRevereEnd. Usually, obviously, Alfie will be with me, but he's at work today, so it was just myself doing this match review. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday for a podcast where maybe we'll be able to go into this game in a little bit more detail, and I'll be able to provide my opinions in a little bit more depth. But until next time, everybody, see you soon and take care.